Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hatchet Gaming here, and today we have a little late topic to talk about regarding the public test server and 1.4 changes that are coming to the Division. With all of the changes, especially considering the world tier, gear score, and all of the other changes that are coming, I thought I'd post the video, wait a couple days, see some of the other reactions to it, and then since I get into the test server tomorrow, figured get this video out today, then I'm going to post another video about my stream from the test server as what it's like, what are the changes, how good are the changes, are they going to help the Division, are they going to change and save this game, because I absolutely love this game. I love the way it's thought up, I love the fact that you get the guns you get, and the way that you can mod, and I just would like to see some of the changes that are coming come sooner rather than later. So, let's get to it. They're doing a massive rebalancing to make the gameplay experience more like the 1 to 30 experience, which I have to say is a lot more enjoyable than the 30 plus experience, because I have two level 30 characters on the Xbox, and just playing them, it feels like you aren't as powerful as you should be. You can barely withstand multiple enemies at a time, and for someone that's mostly a solo player, like me, then it's not going to work very well when it comes down to how everything comes together. And being a solo player, it it just doesn't work currently in the state that it's in. 1.3 did help some, but the way the enemies are scaling and the damage they can do makes almost every activity beyond hard impossible for a solo player unless you're optimized. And depending on your optimized, on which direction you go, it's still incredibly hard. I have one character. Optimized, balanced build, set kind of DPS, kind of tanky, and a skill build. So it makes everything more difficult because I don't have the DPS and I don't have the extreme tankiness to withstand it to get them down, but I do have the skills. So the whole way everything is, it just doesn't work right now. Which is why I'm posting this video to talk about the changes on 1.4, how it's going to be, particularly gear score. Gear score, the weapons, the armor, the skills, because they are changing skills, and gear sets, which is a term that a lot of people don't seem to like to hear, that gear sets are being messed with. But me personally, too many of them are not fun. Personally, for me, I would prefer either a skill build or a Predator Mark type balanced build. But it's not viable at the moment. Using that, just you'll get your butt handed to you more times than not. And by trying not to, it's just not going to work. So, these changes, I'm looking forward to see how well they're going to affect making a Predator Mark skill build. But, back to topic. And the particular topic that I have, I'm going to start particularly with weapons. And the weapon balancing that is coming. And don't particularly mind the noises in the background. I do have a child. So previously, a weapon mod would have one guaranteed bonus and the random roll from a pool. So their kind of removing the amount of bonuses in the pool for each piece and kind of making them more adjustable based on how you want a particular weapon to perform. I'm not really going to go into much detail on it because I personally haven't tried it. I will be trying it, and I will be doing more detail on how it feels, the difference of way the modding works. Is it a better modding system, or did they kind of make it worse and no gun performs better than any others? Because they did change weapon values. They are lowering some, upping like the burst fire MP5. They took away the 1.3 damage buff of shotguns. And so by this, I'm not certain how they're going to be. How is it going to work with the rest of the system? Are they still going to be what you would expect of a shotgun? And not just a situational for the knockback weapon, not a DPS weapon? Because, in my opinion, a shotgun should be an up-close DPS monster. But if they don't have what they're supposed to be, then it's just going to kind of ruin shotguns altogether. Yes, I know people haven't liked it, but I enjoy a good shotgun from time to time, and there are nice times to have them. So I would like to see them still viable. But on to gear score. We will come back to weapons tomorrow. So, they are changing the way gear score works, which is an incredible change in my opinion, because they have gear set items that were always just a little bit higher than the high-end equivalents, and it just felt too far out of balance that you were sacrificing too much worth of stats to put in a high-end in any slot that could be taken up by a more powerful gear set. Because even the 229s are severely lacking when it comes down to raw power and how well they can affect a build. And some of the statistics on and the skills on the high-end items from the surface look like they would be incredibly valuable, particularly to skill builds, particularly to builds that want to be a counter to a skill build. But running a high-end build with these pieces just doesn't work, because you'd end up being too underpowered to be in anywhere but trying to drop the bracket to the bracket below it. So by them changing the gear scores and putting everything on equal ground, equal footing, will help not have these incredibly inflated gear scores. Because right now, if you put a full 229 set together, your gear score would be about 229, maybe 230. Maybe a little bit higher than that, depending. And if you that build went up against someone that has all the optimized gear, and even if you are optimized in this gold set, you're still going to be there's still going to be that huge gap between you and the optimized gear set player. So you're going to get wrecked almost 100% of the time. And that just shouldn't be. If you don't like gear sets, you shouldn't have to use them and be penalized for them. So the changes that they're making, bringing all of the gear score down, I like. And then it gives the possibility of adding new high ends, new blueprints, new gear sets later, which will be covered probably when, if, or however it is at the point when they announce it. Which will happen, because it's going to happen. So, on to weapons. Just, there's a couple other little things I wanted to put in, particularly talents. Because there are certain talents that were just, if you didn't have some combination of these talents, excuse me, on your weapons, they were just trash and you never kept them. Now, with the rework on talents, the rework on the way things are going to interact with each other, you might be able to find more diversity in how gunplay will play out. I'm hoping to see more skill involved. So, going over some of the weapon changes, I'm hoping it's going to feel more closer to the 1 to 29 low end 30 experience of where it feels like a cover-based shooter where you actually have to outplay the enemies, even if it's a one-on-one, of using gun skills, your skills, and actual tactics. Like, that's why I felt such a strong connection to the Tactician's Authority set, because I'm a tactical thinking person. I love tactics and being able to outthink and outmaneuver somebody else and win that way, then just have to rely on raw power, and whoever has the most raw power ends up winning. That just is no fun. They changed the whole DPS formula, which I'm interested to see how it's going to work. They have changed damaged rolls. One of the things that comes with this update that I would have liked to have seen addressed was named weapons. But apparently they aren't going to get much change this update. I would like to see them changed. I would like to see named weapons become a staple where having a named weapon isn't, oh, great, I got more fodder to sell or deconstruct for parts. I'd like to say, oh, I just got this. Can't wait to try it out now. But that's not what they are, and that's what they should be, at least in my opinion. I hate to try to be kind of comparing the Division to other games because of its uniqueness of how it's designed, but Destiny is a great example of, yeah, they have their ones that don't work, but normally when you get a named exotic weapon or armor piece, you just become ecstatic. Unless they don't introduce more, and then it just ends up getting stagnant, which is not what I want to see, particularly in a looter. So, back to weapons. There are major weapon mod changes. The damages are going to be changing how it interacts with the enemies. Enemies are going to be changing and be more linear to what's already in the game from the 1 to 30 experience, which I'll probably be quoting a lot. Armor. You're going to be more diverse in how you can do your armor, because by having everything the same gear score for each individual tier creates a harmony. Creates, if you want to run a 4-piece set of something, 2 high ends, you aren't going to be sacrificing to get those high ends. Alright, now armor. normally how they had it, if you wanted a true tanky skill build, you had no choice but to sacrifice pretty much all but the base amount of firearms that you get. But with the changes coming to 1.4, all armor pieces in the upper tiers are going to have a main stat, and then based on their gear score, a set tier of amount of whatever the other two are. Say you get a high stamina roll, so you'll have a piece that still has firearms and electronics on it. So you will actually be able to play around, pick and plug, and actually get unique builds. Even with someone running the same set as you, unique builds. And I am ecstatic for that. Even for how world tier is going to work. I'll cover more on that after I've played around with it on the test server and have more feeling and know-how of how the whole world tier system is going to work. Gear set rebalancing, since we were just talking about gear sets. And certain ones are changing the 4-piece bonuses, some are getting 2-piece and 3-piece bonus changes. And that's just how they are going to work. Even though in the test server, the Reclaimer and Blind sets bonuses are going to be inactive because they are still evaluating how they are going, most likely, to change those two sets. And for one set, I'm actually kind of excited about to get around, get to mess with, get to put together a build, is Firecrest. Now, most people would think I was crazy by saying that in its current form. But they're removing incendiary bullets, giving it incendiary grenades, giving it focus on the flame turret, so things will be on fire when you get the damage boost to it, which is going to be absolutely amazing. And enjoying how everything will be ablaze. And that's actually going to be a fun set to use. And some of the other sets that are changing. Sentry Call Strikers. Two of the most used gear sets are changing. I think for the better. And as I get them, as I find what they're going to be, when I get on the test server, I will cover gear sets more so in depth tomorrow. So 5-piece bonuses are going to be removed in the test server. So they're looking at not having that, so you always will have the 2 spaces to have something else. And I am looking forward to seeing how they're changing them and they're going to work and work with high-ends. Now, skills. Skill power used to be pretty well independent from your actual electronic score. But how they wanted to change it is a majority of your skill power will come from your electronics. So that actually I think is a worthwhile change, because you could have this high skill power on your backpack, high skill power on your your mask in your backpack. You could get skill power mods for everything, and you would be sitting pretty with, no matter what your electronics were, about an extra 30,000, 25, 30,000. I don't exactly have numbers, but you could get it pretty close to that. So they're changing how skill power is going to work, and then that skill power will have a curve of diminishing returns because of the overpoweredness, and some of them were bugged. And now we will get to heal instantly. But they did kind of fix the bug with first aid that changed its ability to where you could just run in and get multiple heals, constantly healing that overheal back up and hitting someone else with a triage. That will no longer be the case. Smart cover, reworked. Ballistic shield and support station will have more health. Support station healing has increased. Let's see. The balancing the skills might actually end up being worthwhile. I want to see how if they've done anything to the sticky bomb, because I do play primarily a skill build, so I do want to know how that works. Consumable changes. That will be covered particularly more after I have tried it out, but Incendiary and Explosive are not going to work on players, which is going to be great. And a little thing that has been kind of plaguing the division since the beginning: scavenging. It worked for a while, but then they made all names instantly drop high-end or better. So, scavenging was basically out of the picture. They tried to kind of reintroduce it for quality and the stuff you find. That didn't work. Now, it's going to be, I think, a much better change to it of how it's going to be, because it right now in its current state doesn't work. So they are going to change how it works. Apparently, I don't know if it's coming in 1.4 or not, but it should help overlays and help it is actually being removed and reworked and coming back. So, conclusion. But there's big changes coming. Changes that I will be covering a lot more of tomorrow once I get into the test server and actually play. So there will be more to this coming, because there are changes. I want to see more of what they are before I go into detail about them, because I want to experience them for myself. And yes, to a lot of people's dismay, the changes will be retroactive, meaning they will affect things that are already in the game. So you won't be able to keep your high-powered Sentry shotgun build as it is now. But this has been Hatchet Gaming, coming to everybody about changes coming to the division. I hope you all have a great day, and enjoy the rest of the gameplay.